Welcome! On this journey to the top shelf and back again, we're discussing adding colouring to dark liquors.
There is some interesting ones, and there's so much controversy with the caramel colouring in there. Some people are like, it's the devil, and other people are like, meh, as long as they advertise it.
Especially for those sort of larger blending houses that are bringing out a certain line constantly all the time, so they can basically just have consistency, because the colour, as you know, comes down to the barrel, how well it was fired, cool temperatures, tropical climate, all those sorts of things can affect it. So to try and bring out a consistent sort of product, they need to be able to have some control over the color of it. Because conversely, the small batch houses, they won't have as much stock to blend with or anything else. So they might be a little bit forced to, put out a product that might not be the color that people expect then, but it tastes really awesome. But people are like, oh, I don't want to buy it because it's a little bit light for my liking.
My personal view is I would rather a distillery make to taste and then just add color to get the color consistency instead of making the color and then the taste isn't as quite there. At the end of the day, yes, we like the lovely bottles, but when you're sitting back and you're sipping on it, you want something nice to taste. And okay, then add the caramel coloring to get that full experience. And they have shown that experiments they've done where they've just told people it's something else, or they smelt differently and it tasted differently. So it's that whole experience influences taste.
Or they'll blindfold someone and then give them red wine and white wine and they can't tell the difference. And for other discussions like this, check out our basics playlist on the High Proof Brothers main YouTube page. Where do the color purists and that come from, do you think?
Ooh, I don't know.
I think it's basically because, like, especially over in Scotland and the island, all those places that make scotch and make whiskey, and they've got very consistent cool temperatures over there. So people have just gotten used to when a barrel is aged for a certain amount of time that it comes out basically a similar color. But the only thing is you throw in like different environments in that, like Australia or tropical climates are so much warmer. Because it might have only been aged for like 3 to 5, like this particular bottle here, and it'll come out very dark. But then you have something like the Johnny Walker 18 different whiskies of 18 years, and it's so super light in comparison. That tropical aging really speeds up the liquid pushing into and back out of the timber and getting those, caramels and tannins and everything from the wood. You have to really know a lot to sort of like look at a color and then be like, this is what I'm going to get from this thing. If you're a real sort of whiskey nerd, rum nerd, you could probably do that if you knew a lot about where it came from and everything else. But for the average Joe and for us on our beginner's journey, don't think that it's like a big sort of like critical thing you need to get a handle on.
It's part of the experience, but I wouldn't buy it just purely based on color, because there's some really short-yeared stuff that we just love. Actually, interesting side note, I think from memory, whiskeys typically, if they want to color it, they use the caramel coloring, and the rums do have their ability to also utilize sugarcane molasses, I think, and they can use a bit of that as well for coloration, whereas the whiskeys don't have as much access to that.
And then other companies like Michter's will actually force heat their warehouse so they can control exactly what they're getting from the heat without needing to sort of do about it other ways.
See, another interesting thing about coloration, pretty sure it's Maker's Mark. So they like got the barrel, then boom, stave in the middle to introduce new flavors and coloration. So yeah, it's kind of cool. So at the end of the day, the coloration may influence your decision a little bit, but it's not going to dominate your selection.
Yes, I think that's a really good way to say it. And if you've liked what we've been doing, why don't you hit that like, subscribe, and all that sort of stuff. Boop, boop, boop.
And we're the High Proof Brothers. Oh yeah, that was a solid. Solid.
Solid. Solid. Solid like a rock.
In my head, it was like, you bought it for the bottle.
Oh, that just ran up to the back of my throat and punched my tonsils.
My empath predicts that this will be slightly bitter.
It is. It's almost like a, I think it's a, is it? No, they're classified as straw, isn't it?
We're making port.